topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the finest experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Hey, today's a special show. This is a new show, a new expert that we have on today. And I got to tell you, for all those people who hide those envelopes that have those dreaded three letters, IRS, on there, you do not want to miss today's show. And let me welcome you to our new expert, Logan Alec. Hi, Logan.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Did I pronounce your last name right?
You got it right.
Okay. Well, we are so glad that we have you. You're actually also a CPA, and we have had so many people ask us, how come you don't have a tax expert? Well, first of all, you got to look for one that knows what he's doing. Let's just say that. And you're not going to get shuffled between 1,000 other people because they're running national TV spots. We found the greatest tax expert, and I'm telling you, you do not want to miss today's show. If you have a relative, they could even be in a different city. You could have a friend that's having tax problems. You want to have them tune into today's show. So, Logan, first of all, tell us about yourself and your company.
So I am a CPA, been a CPA for over a decade. I own Choice Tax Relief. We are based right here in Los Angeles. We help folks who owe the IRS or their state over $10,000 in back taxes. We help them get settlements with the government to settle their tax debt for less than they owe. We help with hardship-based payment plans, get them in hardship status, basically get the IRS or their state off their back. We also help folks who have years of unfiled tax returns get back in compliance discreetly. And we have a system to help folks who have found themselves in that situation.
So the name of the company is Choice Tax Relief. And I got to tell you, because we've already got 3 people who've texted us, and they all 3 have the same question. Let me just take one from Dwight. He wants to know if you do not pay your taxes, how long do you have before they come after you?
So if you file your tax return, let's say you got an extension, you're going to file your tax return this week because it's due on Monday, October 16th, because the 15th is a Sunday. What's going to happen is the IRS is going to take a couple weeks to process it. Then they're going to assess the tax, and then they're going to send you that first notice, that CP14 notice, within a month after that. Right. So if you file your tax return today, the IRS is going to send you that bill probably no later than December 1st. And they're going to demand that you pay the amount that you owe with penalties and interest. A little kind of trade secret here is the IRS actually has to send you more notices than that before it actually starts taking your stuff. So you actually have a little bit of time. Don't tell anyone I'm telling you this, but you actually have a few months before the IRS starts grabbing your cash in your bank account and starts garnishing your wages. So you do have a few month window there to get into a resolution with the government. If you can't pay everything you owe on your tax return, you can work out an installment agreement with them. And if you qualify, you might even be able to get them to settle for less than you owe through the offer and compromise program. So you do have options. I would say do not delay. You do have time, but not a whole lot of time.
Well, now here's two more texts just came in. I don't think they printed this right. They want to know. Oh, I see what they're asking. They want to know if the IRS is harder now with all the new agents, or has that even started?
So that funding from the Inflation Reduction Act is going to be given to the IRS over the next decade, but they have already received some of that funding, and we are going to see a meaner IRS in the 2020s than we saw in the 2010s. A lot of people kind of stayed under the radar from the IRS in the previous decade because the IRS was historically underfunded. It was actually, the agency actually shrunk from the 1970s to the 2010s. Now, as you know, caller, we have $80 billion is going to be funneled into the IRS over the next 10 years. They have already started hiring new agents to track people down and try to extract as much money as they can from them. When that act was passed, they said we're only going to target for audits folks who make more than $400,000 a year. But in terms of collections, in terms of getting money from people who filed their tax return and just couldn't pay it, they didn't say anything about that. And I fully expect that at every income level, we're going to see the IRS become more aggressive when it comes to collections.
Okay, I've got so many questions for you, but I want to get these people who are texting their questions in at 954-336-3767. They want to know, is it true the ads that you see that somebody owed $200,000 and the IRS settled with them for $25?
It is possible. I don't know if all of those
Really?
ads. It is possible, but it's rare we see that. A settlement for someone who owes $200,000 would probably be a little bit more than $25 because they probably have a little bit more income and assets to draw from. It is theoretically possible. This week we got an approval for an offer for someone who owes $90,000 and he settled for $100. So it is possible,
Wow.
but it's rare. And your facts and your financials, they have to they have to represent to the government that they're not going to be able to squeeze anything else from you. If you have $1 million sitting in the bank account, the IRS is going to say, pay us that $1 million, right, on that $200,000 of tax debt. If you have,
this one-time forgiveness, can you explain that?
So the one-time forgiveness, it's a forgiveness of penalties and interest. Interest on penalties. Basically, a forgiveness of penalties for one tax year if the prior 3 tax years were clean. So, and you can get it more than once. So a lot of people think this one-time forgiveness is just a one-time forgiveness of penalties. Well, no, you could qualify for it theoretically every 4 years. Basically, you just call the IRS, say, hey, can I get the one-time forgiveness? And they're generally pretty good about telling you whether you qualify or not. Sometimes when we call in, they say no, and we actually have to prove it that our client does qualify. But it's basically a one-time forgiveness for one particular tax year of your penalties for failing to pay your taxes on time and your penalties for failing to file your tax return on time.
I am such a believer in what you do because a friend of mine went up against the IRS, and in order to save money, he thought he was going to be saving money. He tried to handle it himself. Now, let me tell you something. If you don't have a professional like Logan and Choice Tax Relief, these people are very good at what they do. And they try to act like you're their buddy and everything. And in the meantime, they are getting a roadmap to your money. And there's questions that you should not be answering. And when you have somebody like Logan representing you, all that goes to him. Because you sign a power of attorney to you, Logan?
That's right. When someone hires us, the first thing we do is send them a 2848. That's an IRS power of attorney. You sign that. We fax it to the IRS. Now the IRS is dealing with us, not you. You don't have to talk to them anymore. You don't have to deal with them anymore. And like you said, Steve, the IRS, when they're talking to taxpayers directly, they will try to be buddy-buddy to get as much information as they can out of them. And just so your listeners know, Steve, just because an IRS agent or revenue officer asks you a question, you don't have to answer it. You don't have a legal, you can't lie to them, but you don't have a legal requirement to answer that question. They might make it sound like you do. They might be extremely pushy in how they ask the question, but you don't have to. And if you feel like they're intimidating you, which they often do, get representation, whether it's us or another reputable CPA, tax attorney, tax relief shop. Get representation, because they will push you around and they will use everything you say to them, everything you disclose to them against you to get money out of you.
And tell me if I'm right on the slogan. When you do get communications from them and you stick that envelope in the drawer and close it, it's still there, isn't it?
It doesn't go away. In fact, it stays in your IRS records. You can actually pull what's called your account transcript online. If you have an irs.gov account, and you'll see every notice they've sent you, not what the contents of the notice, but you'll see if they sent you that CP22 or that CP14 or whatever they sent you. The IRS does not forget about it. Believe me.
They don't go away, do they?
They don't go away. A lot of people want them to go away, but unfortunately they haven't yet. And it looks like with an additional $80 billion over the next 10 years on top of their normal annual budget allocation, doesn't look like they're going away anytime soon.
Now, will the IRS do your taxes for you if you're behind on your taxes?
Oh, you'd better believe they will. We see that. We're seeing that a lot right now. We're seeing folks come to us who say, "Hey, the IRS sent me a bill for $500,000 for tax years 2018 through 2021. I never filed taxes for these years." Well, guess what? The IRS did your taxes for you. They did a substitute for return, an SFR, giving you no deductions other than the standard deduction. So if you're 1099, your 1099 might say you made 200 grand gross, but you have all these business deductions, right? You didn't necessarily take home 200 grand gross. The IRS, when they prepare your return for you, they're saying you make 200 grand gross. They're going to assess that tax and try to collect tax as though you made that higher dollar amount.
So you could be taxed higher than you actually owe them.
Yep. Because in the IRS's eyes, you have to tell them about your deductions. They're not going to give them to you for you. So they're going to try to collect tax from you on an amount that's way higher than what you actually owed. It's not fair, but that's the way it is, and it's a nightmare to unravel that. We can do it, but it's a lot harder to unravel it than if you just, hey, you have these unfiled tax returns, do them before the IRS takes that step. It will be a lot easier for you, and frankly, a lot less expensive for a professional like myself and my team to do that, rather than coming on that back end where the IRS has already prepared those returns on your behalf. It's a lot harder to unravel that situation.
If you are watching on TV, we're scrolling right now the 866-8000 tax number. If you're listening on radio or the podcast, really important to write this phone number down: 866-8000-TAX, TAX. And you know what? Listen, Logan can actually represent you no matter what state you're in. Isn't that right?
That's right. We represent folks in all 50 states. We have some clients who are overseas. Oftentimes they come to us because the IRS has told the State Department about their tax problem, and now they can't renew their passport, and they're trying to get home for their daughter's wedding. That was a recent case. The dad was freaking out because he couldn't get home for his daughter's wedding. We were able to get him out of that pickle. But all 50 states and overseas as well.
So I'm going to ask you a question. Just give me an honest answer. Why should I go with your company, Logan, rather than one of the other companies out there?
We're straight up with you. We don't overpromise and under deliver. We'll tell you exactly what you qualify for We're not going to pull the wool over your eyes and say that we're going to be able to settle your $200,000 of tax debt for $25 if we don't believe that there is a greater than 95% chance that the government is going to accept that offer. What you see with a lot of the shops do, especially the national shops, is they got a commission-based sales guy on the phone who's going to promise the moon. But then when the back office team, the actual tax professionals, get the file, they're not going to be able to do what the salesman said they were able to do. So when you work with someone local, whether it's Choice Tax Relief or another reputable CPA or local law firm in your area, make sure that they have told you that what you qualify for before you sign up for anything. And make sure they've told you why you qualify for that. Because I think the biggest problem in the tax relief industry today is a lack of transparency. People don't understand how the process works. People don't understand how they qualify for a settlement versus that option. And we pride ourselves on educating our clients on these things. And even if folks don't hire us, they can still get a free consultation by calling that number. So at least they walk away educated. So if they do talk to somebody else, they won't get the wool pulled over their eyes.
So very important that people know that you do a free consultation, and you're going to be able to tell them if you think you can help them or not.
Yes, we will tell them what we think you would qualify for on the free consultation. We don't go straight for, hey, we're going to submit a settlement offer. We're going to charge you a ton of money to do that, when we have if we have no idea if you qualify for that. Because a lot of shops out there unfortunately do that, and they do prey on people's fear of the IRS. It is a good fear. It is a justified fear, but unfortunately there's some bad apples out there who take advantage of people's fear.
What is the hardship program?
So the hardship program is a special program with the IRS where you don't actually have to pay them anything, because you've proven to them that it would cause you financial hardship to pay them anything. It's also called currently non-collectible status. It's a very good option for folks who really aren't making much money right now. Because if you are making some money, the IRS is probably going to want a piece of it. But if you aren't making much money, or you're low income, for example, and you have very little assets, you could very well qualify for the hardship program.
Now, what does it mean when you get is the letter from the IRS, because you hear about the scams out there all the time. Does the letter from the IRS, is it a certified letter?
So some letters are certified, some are not, but the ones that are certified are generally very important, because those are generally legal notices. And one of those letters is called the Notice of Intent to Levy. And that's the letter the IRS gives you before it starts taking your stuff. So that's a very important one. Because the last thing you want to be is the victim of the IRS going into your bank account and draining your bank account, or sending a notice to your employer telling them, hey, don't pay you, pay us, and leave you, $100 per pay period, because it is within their right to do that. So some of the mail is just the annual reminders, right? This is how much you owe for this year. But when you get a certified letter, open it up, and you probably want to call a professional to help you walk through that.
Well, let's give everybody your phone number again. 866-8000-TAX. That's 866-8000-TAX. Logan's going to be with us again next month. And Logan, I got to tell you, by the amount of texts that have come in, a lot of people want to know who own their own business. A lot of business questions. So maybe we can, next show next month, do it around businesses.
That sounds great. Yeah, business owners are a high priority for the IRS, because there's lots of issues that business owners have that non-business owners don't. Payroll taxes is one of them. So just kind of a freebie out there for business owners. If you're gonna skimp on your income taxes or your payroll taxes, pay your payroll taxes first, because the IRS takes those more seriously than income taxes, believe it or not.
Okay, but hey, great job for your first show. We will see you again next month. We'll talk about taxes, resolving taxes for businesses.
That sounds great.
Thanks, buddy. Great job. And we're going to go to break. When we come back, we've got our, my favorite show to do, a weight loss show. We'll be right back.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And we are back. Welcome to the Ask the Expert show. We hope you enjoyed our first show. This next show is, I got to say, it's really important to me. I see we're waiting for Dr. Gupta. Is that right? There,
hey, guys.
Yeah. I wanted you to hear this. This is probably become, we're now in 10 cities. This has probably become my favorite show, and I'm going to tell you why.
That's really sweet, Steve.
I never realized all the health issues involved when you were overweight. You know, I was the person go, hey, I'm overweight. You know what? Big deal. I enjoy my food. I have learned so much that whether it's sleep apnea, diabetes, high blood pressure, whatever the case may be, that weight loss is so important. But I learned there's another step to it.
Yes.
So the name of the company is Mindful Weight Loss.
Yes.
And we have Dr. Gupta, who I love when you tell your story, Dr. Gupta, and you still are, you're an internal medicine doctor.
Yes.
And not only that, but he is bringing on partners that he is so looking to the future. So tell everybody, Dr. Gupta, welcome. I love doing your show. And I'm going to tell you, I think I told you last time, we have a group of women in Orange County that they heard your show for the first time.
Amazing.
These women really take care of themselves.
Sure.
You know, the women who are always, they think they're always overweight.
Sure.
We don't see it that way, but they think in their eyes they do. They loved your show. They're waiting for one of the ladies to get back. They want to see if they can do a group with all 6 of them.
Oh, I'm totally down for that.
Dr. Gupta.
Yeah.
These women, I'm going to say it because one is a very good friend of mine. Big mouths. Big mouths. You know, get the word out.
Send him our way. And, you know, why don't you finish your thought, and then I'll tell you about this.
Well, I just want to tell, I want people to start looking at weight loss different.
Yes.
And that's what Dr. Gupta has done. I mean, he brought in one of his partners is a pediatric emergency room doctor.
Yeah.
And you think about, God, we want to hit our kids early.
Yes.
Before they become adult and become stubborn.
Yeah.
And there's just so much that he's doing. He's right there in Los Angeles, but he's also got an office in Phoenix, in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Dr. Gupta is going to be within, I would say, 6 months, will be the #1 doctor as to weight loss in the United States. And my friend that I went to college with was considered. His name was Dean Ornish.
Okay. Oh, you went to college with Dr. Ornish?
Went high school and college.
Wow, he's big. Dr. Ornish is amazing.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm saying you're going to replace him.
I don't
and
know.
He's written a lot of books.
Yeah,
he's written a lot of books as well.
No, I mean, the Ornish diet, it's big. He's super big in this world.
So that's what your future looks like. But tell everybody about yourself and about your clinic.
That's amazing. I'm just like blown away. You went to school with him. My name is Dr. Gupta. I'm an internal medicine doctor, also board certified in obesity medicine. And what we do is combine a lot of the medications, which we have to have a show talking about that because I know there's a lot of interest on that, but with an actual holistic program combined with it. So I know there's a lot of clinics offering the 5-minute shots or whatever, like they offer the shots, but with 5-minute appointments. What we do is offer like a really comprehensive approach to create truly sustainable change. So that includes seeing the provider monthly, multiple health coach appointments. I just started a meditation series myself. So it's a main reason is so it's an excuse so I can have time to meditate too, but I do with my patients to have loving kindness. But we have classes on everything from all the way from resistance training and breath work to crocheting, because what I'm seeing is that really this is all about the causes and conditions behind this problem. And it is because our bodies this world is not made for our bodies, right? This food environment is not made for it. These companies, what they do is overload us with all of these addictive foods, right? That are 100% addictive. There's no
on purpose.
Shown on fMRI scans. It triggers the same areas of a brain as all the drugs do, right? So it's done on purpose, right? And we have busy, stressful lives. It makes complete logical sense why when we're tired, when we're stressed, we eat the Doritos or eat the McDonald's. And then on top of that, this food environment is that there are 14 McDonald's from here to anywhere else. I was just telling a patient today, in a more logical world, right? It would be full of the easiest thing in the world would be these beautiful fruits, vegetables, complex carbs, unsaturated fats, and proteins, right? And then you'd have to get out of the car to go get the ultra processed thing and, get the dopamine hit or whatever, just to make it that much harder, right? Because that's just how our brain works. But that's not the case. It's so easy in every restaurant everywhere, right? There's like 1 billion restaurants everywhere. And I'm sure everyone working in these industries and these companies are fine people, but it's just we've all inadvertently created this thing that is causing so much suffering in all of us every single day. And so like when you're talking about, like the future, right? The ultimate pivot, and I haven't told you this yet, but it's going to be, I'm going to transition the company to be called Mindful Wellness with different product lines. So which will be, mindful weight loss. But then there's, as we met in the show last time, Dr. Shah with mindful menopause, which will help with some of the hormonal components, because I know you've asked me questions on that before, as well as the kids, mindful, healthy kids, and just really wellness in 360 degrees way to really help. And the last thing I'm going to say right now is just that, when I'm a hospitalist, I started as a hospitalist, I still work in the hospital, but by then you see patients after they've had 30 years of disease, like all the little sugar molecules of diabetes causing all the damage to all their blood vessels with the blood pressure and the kidney disease and all that stuff, right? And I think this is what you allude to, but when we help people with wellness early on, like just it could be at any time, the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 20s, whenever, right? 60s, it can help prevent some of these chronic diseases that are causing so much morbidity and mortality in our world.
Dr. Gupta, we've talked about this before. I think, first of all, people get so discouraged because they start off doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah. And they probably even lose some weight.
Oh, yeah.
But it's so difficult to maintain.
A billion.
And they end up putting it all back on again. Yes. And that's what I love about what you teach.
Yes. Yeah. So our body so there's a lot of reasons for that. There's the main reason is evolutionary. We didn't evolve in this world, right? Where calories are everywhere. Calories were the whole system is made to survive the famine, right? And that's it. And so what happens is once we get to a certain weight, irrespective of what it is, our bodies protect that weight. And then when we start losing weight, our hunger hormones are actually elevated, right? So you get hungrier. And then our metabolism decreases. So if you eat just a little bit more, you start gaining weight. And it's absolutely it's phenomenal and amazing and really it's kind of a little bit depressing, but our brain even does things where if you look at the scans and how their mind is perceiving things, people think they eat less food than they actually do when we lose weight, because the brain wants us to eat more food, right? And so it's just all of these things fight us over and over and over again, in addition to this crazy food environment we live in.
A question that I have, let's see, this is probably a good example. Like an avocado is very healthy for you,
Yes.
but it's got a lot of oil in it.
It has a lot of
So
unsaturated fats. Yeah.
how do you determine when you're trying to lose weight is because just because it's healthy doesn't mean you can lose weight from it?
So the secret is of all. So okay, this is another thing that makes this hard. We have so much
I love how
conflicting.
excited he gets.
Yeah. Well, we have so much conflicting knowledge, right? There's
Yeah.
like people saying one thing, another person saying other. We have all of these things, right? So the secret to it, this whole thing, right, is that there is no right answer, right? There's absolutely no right answer, right? Everything works. And more important than what is how. How can we actually do this in the structure of our lives, given our time, energy, desire, given the other people, given our jobs, given everything we want, what we like to do, how we want to live our lives, right? So it's not like whatever we do is not what's important. It's how we can do what I call caloric optimization, right? Which is kind of two levers. It's how much and what, right? So in terms of the avocado example, that wouldn't necessarily be my first target of optimization, right? Like often there's something else, right? Maybe it's like the 3 p.m. like chocolate bar that people are having, right?
Okay.
Or the snacking when like between 6 and 7 p.m. when they come home and like they're eating the 30 tortilla chips, right? While they're cooking dinner. Right. And so it's even then it's how, right? Even then it's like, okay, let's brainstorm. Maybe we need more lunch. Let's drink like a protein shake on the way home from work so we're not as hungry. Let's throw away the chips. Let's have some other option for dinner so there's less stress. All of that is way more important than whether we eat like a specific thing or not, right? So like what I try to tell people is that there's no good or bad, right? And there's no morality to any of this. Like no one is a better person for not eating a cookie, right? And so like all of these things go into our heads and they distort our decision pathway so much and they make us feel worse about ourselves, which makes this even harder. Because what do we want to do when we feel like crap? We just want to eat, right?
You know what? I'll never forget when you said, because we were talking about working out, and you said, you know, the expression "no pain, no gain."
Yes.
We don't have it here. We threw that one out the window. You remember
Yes.
that?
So that's number one thing, right? This is the opposite of that, actually. This is how can we make this easier, right? And even then, again, like we have so much of this willpower narrative in our head that you have to, even the kinder versions of this would be like, oh, we can help you try harder or something, right? All that's BS, right? This is like, we have to figure out in our lives how this can be the easiest thing that we can do. It's the only way it can work.
I have a question for you now. So they go, you have diet, you have workout, and with you, you also have the mind.
Yes, but I don't really use diet, that word. But yes, but
I don't want to keep doing that.
No, it's nutrition, behavior, physical activity, and medication.
So where is it most important for you?
It depends on the person, right? But usually, you know, we like a lot of it is the nutrition, right? Like trying to figure out how to do it. But they're not really distinct things because again, in that example, when someone's coming home stressed from work, trying to escape that, and they're eating the 30 like the tortilla chips, is it really the tortilla chips? Yes, we throw them away, but it's also the stress they have, right? So they're kind of all intertwined. And then when we're stressed and tired, it's much harder to work out, right? So like none of like, you know, we help, like, you know, we for our treatment plans, we do categorize them in these buckets, but again, they're really all interconnected, and you have to think of them as such to be able to help, you know, because the simple truth of the matter, you know, what I always say is we start with self-compassion. And what that means operationally is that we do things for a reason, we don't do things for a reason. And within those reasons are our interventions, right? And you got to take all those reasons seriously and empathetically. So oftentimes I have a patient that says, oh, I should just be able to go work out, or I should just be able to cut vegetables or whatever, right? No, because people aren't taking into account their mental loads and all the other stuff they have. Because that's like, what are you doing in the morning? Oh, I'm just getting like 2 kids ready for work, getting ready, answering 5 emails, all this stuff, right? So it's not just like I should be able to walk over here and do something. It's all the stuff people have going on in their brains.
So someone signs up with you
Yes.
They don't have to come to your office.
No. So we're actually boarded in 10 different states across the nation and expanding fast, right? So the goal is to be everywhere eventually. But, right now we can be seen in California, Washington, Nevada, Arizona. We actually have physical offices in California, Nevada, and Arizona. Then Texas, Georgia, Florida, Maryland, New York, Illinois. Oregon's coming online soon, and we're working on Arizona. Yeah, we have it. And Pennsylvania, sorry, is the one we're already boarded in as well.
Yeah, somebody asked me if you're going to be coming to New York at all.
We are in New York.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes. So,
Okay.
virtually, right now, virtually over New York, right? Ultimately, the goal
So they sign up with you.
Yes.
What's the first thing you do?
So the first thing we do, they sign up for us, right? Then we have one of our staff members call and give like a 30-minute orientation, and then they see a provider for an hour, right? So I used to, like last year even, manage a primary care clinic, skilled care nurse facility, other things. Unfortunately, modern medicine is such that you're like have 15-minute appointments with your doctor, right? Usually. And, just in and out, kind of like, it's hard to really treat people. There's reasons for that, but it's really hard to kind of get to know and treat people, right? So we actually spend an hour talking to our patients, like first appointment. Then afterwards, the clinician sees them every half an hour, every month. But if there's any urgent issues, we see them also as needed. And then we have unlimited health coaching in between, and also all of these classes as well. And we have we have a concierge service, so you can message us from 8 to 8, Monday through Friday, and we respond on the weekends as well, right? So we really want to be there for our patients, because that support we found is like one of the key elements of creating sustainable change.
You have a lot of different ways of helping somebody.
Yes.
With weight loss.
Yes.
So and we've talked about this before. You go into a supplement store, you tell them you want to lose weight, and they give you a pill.
Yes.
They don't even go into the background. They don't even. Exactly. And that's, how can you expect for that to work long term? And that's what's so important about what Dr. Gupta is doing, because it's all about long term. Yes. And he knows that's where you have the biggest problem. And he wants to alleviate that.
Yes.
From you. And, I love to hear you're opening up more locations, because that means you're going to be around for a long time.
That's the goal.
And you know what? And also, mom and dad, your kids, starting at what? You're starting at age 12?
Yes, 12. We can see patients now actually starting at age 12 as well. And we have a board certified, pediatric ICU obesity medicine doctor as well, helping them. But it's, using the same methodology philosophy to kind of help, with that self-compassion, people. Like when I was younger, I wish I had something like this, because I struggle with weight.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
That's got to be so tough, but that's why the doctor is a pediatrician, because it's a whole different concept, isn't it?
It's a whole different one, but it's like, okay, there's obviously some elements, because they have parents, they have other people in their lives that can make decisions, they have schools, they have like a whole thing helping to raise kids. So there's parts of it that are different, but there's also a lot of parts that are same. People want to be well and healthy, and that's including kids, and you just got to get in touch with that and figure out what are the challenges, what are the obstacles to that, and help figure out ways to get it done in people's lives.
Well, I want people, especially people who are tuning in for the first time, I get so excited about Dr. Gupta, and a lot of personal reasons too, because I have a lot of health issues, and it's amazing. Every single health issue I have, it's your weight. It's all comes back to weight. And we're going to get you well. Dr. Gupta, give everybody, for those who are listening on radio, give them your phone number and your website.
Of course. So we just make it super easy. So you just call or text 310-220-4543. Again, 310-220-4543, or visit mindfulweightloss.com.
You are the best, without a doubt. Dr. Gupta's with us again in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he's also with us in Arizona and in Nevada. We are lucky. We are blessed. Thanks, Dr. Gupta.
You're very kind. Thank you so much.
And that's today's show, Ask the Experts. I told you, he is amazing. And I don't care how many times you've tried something and failed, you haven't tried Dr. Gupta yet. We'll see you again next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.